Welcome back to Stroked Up Entertainment.
Stroked Up Entertainment. What is this, like, what they call it? With Suge Knight?
It's
Death Row Entertainment? Death Row Record? Death Row.
Well, I mean,
that's what it felt like.
At the end of the day, we're getting stroked, right?
Right. We got straight to it. Welcome back to Stroked Up Entertainment. I got kind of scared, like my shoulder's supposed to go back for a moment.
Oh, man. We know we want to stimulate a mind, right?
As usual, man. That's what we do, man. Welcome back to Stroked, the art of mental stimulation. You know what we do. We touch subjects at depths that most people aren't willing to go. You know, they be scared, man. But that's not us, man. We dive in. We transparent. We open up. You get all of us. You get our soul, man. Everything straight from God.
Well, at the end of the day, fear is just subject to the mind.
That's what they say?
That's what it is.
Okay, that's what it is then. We're going to go with that. What we talking about tonight, man?
Oh, man. I mean, you bring me up on stage. Let's see.
Oh, you want me to pull the curtain back?
Pull the curtain back.
Okay, introduce
Who's the wizard?
You say introduce?
Who's the wizard?
Of course, you know who that is, Maestro. Anyway, man, tonight we're going to touch on the subject. Just a reminder, guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That's very important so you can keep up with all the episodes that are coming about. I promise you, you don't want to miss it, man. And no one is hitting these subjects like we're touching them. I mean, no one's stroking the brain like we're stroking the brain. So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Back to your regular show. Everybody should be doing it because this particular thing, it could be like poison, man, if you don't get it out of your system. And tonight what we're touching on is forgiveness.
So what does it mean to you, and can you do it?
Can I forgive?
Well, not you personally. I hope you can forgive. You forgave me.
Yeah, I mean, I forgive all too often. At one point in time in my life, I thought the fact that I forgive so easily, you know, I was starting to think that became a problem, but I'm such a pure person. I'm pure at heart. I'm so understanding. So, you know, someone can do something to me, something I don't like, and I can sit up there and find a reason why they did it and look back at their past. They went through this and this, went through this, and it's like, am I making an excuse for them or, you know?
So would you say that forgiveness can be considered a weakness in our community?
I can see that though, but you know, I think when you don't forgive, it hurts you more than it hurt them.
Well, resentfulness or begrudging can damage you because all you experience at a particular moment is just, let me think, what is the word? Negativity, right?
Negative energy? Yeah.
Yeah, negative energy, and that negative energy just keeps you at bay.
I don't know the word for it, but I know the feeling all too well, you know. I used to get that feeling quite often where people used to do things, you know, like I said, I like to cut people off, so I try to keep it moving and move on without forgiving them. And you just have this feeling that well up inside of you. It's this big feeling. It's like a total darkness. And every day you're moving on in your mind, you're like, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to forgive. They're going to have to come to me. And the entire time, they're living their life, and you're sitting there suffering inside.
Well, you keep yourself locked in a cage at that particular moment.
Right.
Think about it. I mean, think about what it means to begrudge or to hold resentment or not to forgive. You keep yourself locked in a cage, and all of a sudden, you're not a free spirit anymore.
You're not. Then you start getting all these walls you put around you, all these boundaries, and you kind of cut yourself off from the world. I was like that at one point in my life. Like right now, I'm a little more open. Thank you for some of that. A little more open to people. Try to be a little more trusting. You know, you don't try to judge every situation from one situation. You try to, you know, give people the benefit of the doubt, man. But it really can just be engulfing. It can kind of hold you there in one spot.
Well, I hate to bring this up, but forgiveness is attached to vulnerability.
That's the main thing. That's why it's a problem. The vulnerability, the V word. I had a little issue with that word sometimes.
Well, hey, we're talking about the art of mental stimulation.
Right.
And one of the biggest problems that we have is that we do not want to stimulate freely. We do not want to open up because an open channel means you have to be vulnerable. You have to be free-spirited. And if you begrudge, you're holding back.
Right.
Because that's what it means to begrudge.
Okay.
You actually are holding on to something that's damaging the spirit.
Right. But it hurts a little more. Like when it's someone close to you or a friend that's close to you, a family member or someone who you kind of let in that inner circle, let in your spirit. You know, you let them dwell in your soul a little bit. So when those type of situations, when someone disappoints you, man, it almost can feel like the end of the world sometimes. They say, forgive, but you don't forget. So how does that work for you when they say forgive but don't forget? So you can forgive somebody, but that thing or that whatever happened is still in your mind and kind of still can replay over and over. How do you get past moments like that?
Well, I have to take a biblical principle since we live in North America, you and I. One of the biblical principles I think about is in the book of Matthew, and it talks about forgiving your brother 77 times. But the idea about that is not actually keep a ledger. Mm-hmm. So in other words, you're not, keeping an analytical log about so many times somebody offending you. Right. So you're not begrudging. You're not holding on to.
So how many times do you forgive a person? If it's someone probably doing the same thing over and over or doing multiple things, like say forgive and forget, what's the cutoff?
It's simple. Again, if they're holding or hindering your spirit, then you know what you're supposed to do at that particular moment. You cut that off.
But you're saying you still forgive them.
Absolutely, and you don't hold on to.
What you give forgiveness. He does not know what he do. What did they say? For he does not know what he do. Is that a biblical thing?
Yeah. Unbeknownst to the person, right?
But sometimes they do know what they do.
Sometimes they do, but at that particular moment, again, their action becomes specific. Their action gives you the pattern of their behavior. Right. So if they are purposely doing things to intentionally hurt you, you cut them off. It's real simple. And if they want to continue on that particular course of action, then, hey, look, keep living. Keep doing what you got to do. But at the end of the day, if they evolve or grow past that particular moment, then forgiveness is okay. Because if you hold the grudge on the action of that person, then you're hindering yourself. You will no longer evolve.
But you don't have to let them back in your life. Just because
you don't have to.
Right. I don't care how much a person evolves. If someone hurts you so much, sometimes it's like, they hit that plateau. Even if they do change, maybe they should have changed before that. That's how you feel about it. And I'm just being honest and raw right now. I've had situations like that where he said someone evolved and they changed. I see them and I'm like, oh, good for them. But I don't want to try that again with them.
Well, let me ask you a question. Could you befriend them, though?
It depends on the person because I've had someone, feeling where I felt betrayed. I don't even know if I want to use the word betrayed, but someone very close to me more than one time, I'm talking about a particular time, very close to me, a situation came about, the way they handled it. I kind of knew why they handled it that way, and it hurt me to my core because I held them very close. I still hold them very close, still to this day because of that forgiveness. But I never forgot it. But the love I have for them and the role they played for me and the role they played in my life, they're still here, and I still love them just the same. So I guess it's situational.
It is situational, and I got to bring something up since you made that statement. The analytical mind is one of the reasons why we keep a ledger. Mm-hmm. That's one of the reasons why in the human society we say, I can forgive, but I can't forget. Right. My thing about that is, it's not that you can't forget, you just don't hold it against them.
Right.
That's
especially it's not really in their character.
Right. That's the big part. And if we're supposed to grow as people, forgetting is simply that we're just not holding it against you. It's not that you actually forgot what they did.
Right.
It's just that you don't hold that. In other words, y'all can still grow in love together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Is it a situation where sometimes you have to forgive yourself? And have you ever been in a situation where maybe someone did some things, friendship, relationship, whatever, you saw the red flags, you saw that it could build up to the moment that it built up to where they betrayed you and made you feel a certain type of way, and you kind of blamed yourself for even letting it go that far when you already saw the signs of that. How do you feel about that? Is that something within you, or it still has nothing to do with you? Or should you?
Each of us are accountable. And that's one of our biggest problems when we're talking about communication, we're talking about connection. None of us want to hold ourselves accountable. So when you're talking about that, let's say I can see in our interaction with one another that your behavior or your pattern is leading to a particular course. Maybe I've seen it before and now I can see it clearly at the present, right? Mm-hmm. So I hold myself accountable, as we should, if we allow ourselves to exist in a situation. You can't entirely blame that person or the people that we're involved with if we permit that to happen, right? So when I look at that type of situation, how could you not forgive? You're at fault at that moment. Should you forgive yourself for being ignorant? Because ignorance is a real thing.
Oh, it's definitely
sometimes you just don't know. You can't see yourself too clear. That's why it's important to be around honest people that can call you out.
It really is, man. The thing that gets you is when you think somebody honest and you find out they're really not. But right now I want to talk about a situation. What about the times when you have been the offender You have been the one that has hurt someone. Or you're the one that fell short on who you said you are, who you said you would be to someone or a person. I think that situation, I've been there, I think that hurt me more than anything, man. I mean, I had someone I was dealing with before, and, man, it hurt me to my core when I seen, how that person was. It's almost like, I wouldn't say they were destroyed, but just seeing a person like that, knowing that I was the cause of it for a long time, I couldn't forgive myself. I couldn't move past it. I started to look at myself like a bad person. Am I really a good person? Like I'm putting myself out there to be?
You have to be careful because you can create guilt within yourself, and you possibly could not rebound from that.
Right.
So, if you are the guilty party that damages a relationship or a friendship or whatever the case may be, you have to look at yourself and ask yourself, what are your intentions?
Right.
Right. And that's why it's a beautiful thing when you have people around you that can communicate with you, that can be honest with you, and that are continual. You and I kind of briefly talked about that. One of the most important things is continuation.
It is.
If we start looking at life in a definitive way, in other words, the very moment you offend me, I define that and I say you are ended.
Right.
Now, you got to be careful because
some offenses are worth that, though.
They are. Yeah. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
But the very moment we think of everything in that capacity, we are starting to hold grudges if we're not careful, because what ends up happening is we start thinking that we are the judge.
Right.
And that anything you do that's offensive to me defines you as a character, even though you're constantly evolving. So that means I look at you and I go, you know what? I can't forgive you anymore because I judged you.
Right.
And that means, simply put, you're not continual. And right now, I'm done with you.
Okay, what about the situations where, for example, what I just spoke of, hurt someone, you're the person that, did the damage or whatever, you grow, you evolve, you try to move on too, but a person, they won't let you move on because they haven't, I guess, forgiven you and they haven't forgotten. So they don't let you move on, so they constantly bring it up. And you feel guilty because you're the person that caused that pain, so you kind of let them lash out and you kind of let them have that moment, but, they continually doing it. I mean, what do you do in that situation when you're an offender and you're growing past it and a person's still bringing that to you? Do you cut them off at the same time, knowing that you're the reason that made that person like they are?
No, but I'm going to bring you up to a biblical principle again. The Bible says something along the lines that one's own tongue condemns them when God has already forgiven. So if you can't accept that about yourself, again, no grudge, right? No grudge against yourself or nor another person. Okay. So if that person can't forgive and they constantly want to hold you accountable to an action that you did in a previous life or a previous time, that's not your responsibility anymore if you forgave yourself and you try to move past it. And when I say move past it, I'm talking about you try to grow past that. You try to become a better person.
Gotcha.
That's not on you anymore.
So it's all on them to deal with themselves
at that point.
Go through their own journey of getting past it and practicing forgiveness. You've done your part. You talked to God. You asked for forgiveness. He forgave you. You moved on. You became a better person.
Genuinely
became a better person. So it's all on them to let them. If you see them suffering, though, you suffer because of it, something you did, that's on them to deal with that because, you did your part.
Well, if they can't have open dialogue, if we can't have open dialogue, let's say you and I, obviously you and I are friends, we're best friends and
Greatest.
we have definitely, we have our differences, correct?
Correct.
And sometimes we have misunderstandings that get heated.
Hot, not heated. I'm talking about burning.
All right,
flaming.
like the sun?
Yeah, like it might be the sun.
It might be greater.
I'm telling you.
But here becomes the question. Imagine if you and I chose at those particular moments to hold grudges, to not forgive. Would our relationship continue like it is?
I've tried to hold a grudge before.
I've
tried to hold a grudge, but I've never been really good at holding grudges, especially with people I care about, and that's the problem. That's at one time I wanted to change myself because I'm not really good at it. Like I'm almost ready to move past the moment when it happens, but it's the pride that comes in the way for me because I'm sitting there like I'm over it, but they did this, so I'm not gonna, because I still blame them for the situation happening. So I'm not gonna say this, I'm not gonna do this. So I'm sitting there, and I could describe that feeling. It's super heavy, man. It's like it just wraps around you and takes a hold of you. And with me,
it becomes everything.
Yeah, I don't even look at the person. I don't look at them. I don't, it's just, I tap all the way out. I feel the energy because I'm an empath. I feel it thick, but without words being said.
Let's make it real personable.
Right.
Then. I remember one time we had a pretty heavy disagreement or detachment, if you want to call it.
Okay.
And I remember we were at an establishment together, and we were in each other. Man, we heard each other laugh and had a problem. and then next
he having fun without me.
Same. And then all of a sudden we were distant, but all of a sudden we were in each other's presence, even though we didn't want to be.
Yeah.
Right. And that was one of the moments that we were trying to hold a grudge, so to speak. Right. I mean, we were.
Yeah.
But the elevation of real spirits understands that the grudge only damages you because
poison.
It's poison. It's toxic beyond your mind.
Oh my God.
So let's establish this fact. We know we are important in each other's lives. A lot of people on the outside looking in might try to determine or categorize or define what we are.
Right.
I look at us, we had past lives. We're siblings at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah, already.
So some people can't look in and see those characteristics because they can't comprehend because they're limited in the condition of thought. But most of us will hold grudges and cause separation. Right?
I guess it depends on that person's worth and how important they are in your life, whether or not, how fast you move past those moments and how fast you realize how the importance of that person in your life and the role that they play. I mean, because I can't hold grudges anyway. I'm not good at it, but holding a grudge towards you, man, it's like, I don't even know. It's almost like unhealthy.
It's extremely unhealthy. It's
a bad
toxic
feeling
to yourself. It's poison, like you said. It'll kill you before it kills the other person.
So lack of forgiveness is that much of a poison. You think it has a way of, it can ruin somebody's health and it can, like, mentally, physically, it can really cause an ailment or something?
Well, here you go, Matthew 6:9. They call this the Lord's Prayer. Forgive us as we forgive our debtors. Right?
Yeah.
So in essence, if we can't establish that fact that harboring resentment, a grudge, the lack of forgiveness is killing oneself, then we can never have dynamics of this type of relationship.
And it feels good. Like, I've had people in my life that they are no longer in my life, but I held grudges for a while. I mean, when I say a while, I'm not talking about months or whatever. I'm talking about a year, and I didn't think I wanted to call it a grudge to now, but, I had that feeling, and I just, for a long time, and just thinking the same thoughts about them. They moving on with their life. They living. They looking happy. You look on Instagram or something, they're great or whatever. But I had to hold on to that, and I've had to finally just let go and forgive, and it's like a big weight. It's lifted off your shoulder, man. It's like you finally breathe again, everything.
Well, think about this. Pray them the best, right? Pray that they have evolution in their life. Continual growth, right? That they become a better person, and you pray that for yourself.
Right.
The future is the future. We could be connected again.
Right.
If there is true beauty in our connectivity, then why should we hold a grudge for a temporary moment?
Right.
One of the things that you brought up was 30, 40 summers if we're a certain age. If you're talking about 70 summers, most kids, middle school, elementary, high school, they'll likely not have the same friends.
Oh, true, yeah.
They grow apart, right?
True, yes.
But imagine if you hold a grudge against that person, and now you got this evil spirit within yourself. Because that's what it is to hold a grudge.
It really is. It feels like
evil.
Yeah.
It's devilish. It's poison.
Can I tell you this word, though? And I don't know. This probably word could be a whole entirely different episode, and it probably will be one day. Breaking it down in a different type of way, but karma is real. Karma is real. You don't have to do anything. I will say this, and people may say I'm wrong or whatever, but any person who's ever seriously done me wrong or seriously betrayed me, I didn't have to do anything. I mean, I didn't wish suffering on them or any of that type of thing. I may have been upset because I got a heart. I'm not really wishing suffering on anybody, but karma came and did his work. And that for me too. Anytime I've done wrong to someone and kind of, I ain't gonna say betrayed. I don't think I'm capable of betraying somebody, but did something that wasn't right or whatever. It came back to me. I mean, I felt it. It hit me hard, and I learned my lesson, and I had to move on, and I had to grow from it. But karma is real. It circles back.
Well, this one's for you. Karma is 5 letters. 5 is symbolic with wisdom and death. Mm-hmm. The circle of life.
Right.
Be careful. Because if you are not mindful of this particular fact, karma is only what you beckon for yourself.
Okay.
What you create within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So in essence, whatever you put out is what comes back, right?
Gotcha.
And through death, we understand wisdom. If you're holding grudges, if you're unforgiving, that's what you will get in return.
You saying if someone does something to you and you don't forgive them, you will get karma in return? Or you saying you, the person that didn't do anything, supposedly the victim, you'll get the karma?
I'm talking about the person that cannot forgive will only get it back.
Only get that type of energy back? Okay.
Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors.
That's a different play on it. I ain't never heard
Matthew 6.
The person who the deed was done against is going to feel the karma.
If you cannot let go, you will hold on. And now you got that demon back in your life.
Yeah, you got that energy, that negative energy in your life. But
there you go.
When I get what you're saying. So you're describing that feeling that we feel, that deep, dark feeling. You calling that karma is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming back to you.
Because that's what you put out.
So you're saying karma's a boomerang.
It's simple.
It's not repentance. It's not going back to get somebody for some wrongdoing, is what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
What you put out is what you get back.
Okay, that's a different way.
Karma.
That's a different way to look at it for real, though, man. But the moment that I released, though, like, man, when I tell you it's a different type of word, I almost want to get down in it and describe what that feelings feel like, because I know a lot of y'all have felt it. It's like, let me try to paint the words of it, man. Someone does something to me I don't like, something big. Because something small I get over in the next second, man. That's a Leo. We really fiery, we get upset, we get angry, but probably the next 5 minutes we're good. We're back to normal. But I'm talking about those moments that really hit, like the big stuff. Like, for example, someone you love and they infidelity or some stuff like that, and you feel like they broke your heart, or someone stole from you that was close to you, or someone told a secret that they were supposed to only keep. I'm talking about the big stuff, man, the stuff that you feel like you can never get a pass. And it's just like, almost like, even if it's a lot of people around, it's like you in a dark room. And it's like you start to feel like you're all alone. And then, like you say, that energy that you're talking about, you kind of start to feel like a victim. Well, you start feeling like anybody around you, to anybody come in your circle, anybody that's capable of doing these things. So you kind of start to sink a little bit. I mean, further.
You got to remember, that's going to take care of itself. You don't have to do anything.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So why are we holding on to it?
I mean, but we're human, though. So since you want to say that and you're so confident saying it, what are the steps to let it go faster? Help somebody out, man. Come on, let's come with it. I know you probably haven't thought of it. Let it flow. Whatever comes from you. Okay, we don't do perfection. So
all right. Well, no, perfectionism is a dangerous thing. So
it doesn't
let's be
exist.
Careful. So the things we have to do with for ourselves, and I try to do for myself just the same. If
Pause for a second.
If I wronged a person,
pause 1 second.
Yeah,
put yourself in a place where you felt like that. You got to really feel it.
Yeah, I'm there.
So you there. You feel like the time you've been betrayed.
Both sides. I'm going to both sides real fast.
Right now, I want you to be on the side of somebody did something to you. Right. And tell how you come out of it. I want you to really feel it and really be there. Not talking about like just giving clues out to somebody. Get in that space yourself and tell.
Oh, again, like I tell you, I was trying to give you both sides, but I'll give you the one side. Mm-hmm. So when somebody wrongs me, obviously the initial is great offense, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to pause. And trust me, I tell you, when I say pause, catch me wherever you are. It could be in my own home. It could be, at an establishment where I work at. I'm getting outside. Mm-hmm. I want you to know that. And I may be angry at that particular moment, but I'm taking deep breaths along the way. Mm-hmm. I'm walking and I'm becoming one with nature, and I'm trusting God beyond your imagination. I promise you that.
Right.
Because I also realize that nothing that fleshly individual did or said, their action doesn't define anything. And boomerang is a real thing. Whatever they just pushed out will come right back to them.
Karma.
I know that, but I try my best and I pray for them because I don't want them to die.
You were there. You said you don't want them to die.
I don't.
Oh, wow, man. That's a big one. So is it your job to, when you're in that space, to try to understand that person? Like, That's the way I get out of things. I have the gift for understanding. So understand who that person is. If you know their background or something, understand what may have made them act the way they did. Understand that they might not be at the same level of evolution. Is it your job to do that, to be the understanding, to get past it? Or if you're doing it, you're doing it for yourself, apparently, because you want to get out of that space. But
it depends on the person. I mean, if they're willing to be open to dialogue, then I say, hey.
Not from that. Let's say you're not talking to them. You going about what you know about this person. You might think about the reason why y'all are that close. Their character that made you even take them in like that. And then, bam, they did this. Is it your job to sit back and understand why they may have done that in order to get past that situation? Is that a way to get past the situation?
Well, I mean, I almost want to say naturally the mind's going to start trying to process information.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you may sit back and analyze it. You know, hopefully you have a healthy view of life and you're looking at it in the capacity where you go, hey, look, these are some of the reasons that person may have acted that way. That puts you on the line.
Doesn't make it right, but these
No.
Right.
Right. And that'll put you on the lines of humility and forgiveness immediately, because you'll start, like, for example, you and I, and I'll go, okay, well, there are some traits that exist in both of us that may cause us to act a certain way, that can cause friction, so to speak.
Right.
But let's not forget, I bet you we'll beg for that friction in cold weather. So, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, naturally, if you're looking for forgiveness because you want a person to forgive you, you'll start looking for their excuses. Now, I don't want you to be naive.
Right.
Inept.
Yeah.
You know, so let's not do that to ourselves.
I think you should understand what it is. Like, let's say for somebody in a relationship, the first thing you do, let's say someone betrays you, if you love a person in your mind, you want to instantly stop loving them. You want to get rid of that love or whatever. It doesn't work like that. You have to accept,
Release the hate.
Breathe, and say, hey, I do love them. I love them. I have that love in my heart. You can't stop that love, and that's the worst mistake people make. I love them in my heart, but I can love a person and realize they're not the one for me. I can love a friend and realize they're not meant to be in my life. I mean, that's the steps you have to take, man. That understanding right there. Don't try to just get rid of the feeling and cut it off, because I think that's that pain and hurt that we have. We're trying to cut something off that we cannot. It exists. Those feelings exist. They're real. You have real emotions toward that person, however the emotions come about, romantic, friendship, whatever, family. But they're real. They're there. Accept them, and then you can move on. I think that's the easiest way to do it.
You just made me think of something. You cannot be forgiving if you don't embody love.
It starts with love. I think you have to love them to even be in a place where you feel that type of way about them. I don't have a problem when people do something to me that I don't really care about. They're not in my circle, whatever. It's just like, whatever with them, I can really cut them off easy. It's the ones that I care about. It's the ones I do have that love for in my heart. And that's when the issue come in, when somebody has touched those heartstrings and you're trying to cut them off, or you're trying to forgive, or you're trying to be mad at them, whatever. That's when it becomes the problem. Right.
You know, I agree with you to a degree, but, you know, we're supposed to love mankind in general, right?
It's a different type. It's levels to it.
It is. There's levels to that. There's levels. You know, we'll get to the Roman eventually, but, you know, that's a thing. You know, but I will tell you this. Nobody, not a single person walking the face of the earth should define love for you.
Right.
So technically speaking, you should forgive all. Now, here's the thing. There are some you'll never let back in your quarters.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right? So, hey, man, don't harbor resentment. Don't be begrudging. You're poisoning yourself.
Right. Wish them the best, man. Wish them the best. Wish them a good life if they're not going to be a part of your life. But if it's someone that you do want to be a part of your life, in order to help yourself, to free yourself, you're going to have to dialogue. You'll have to talk to them. You're going to have to sit there. You got to at least, instead of speculating what they could be thinking, instead of speculating what made them do it, you got to open your mouth and just say, you might have to ask, say, hey, man, I mean, that really hurt. I mean, why did you do that? What
what's another step you think we can take when it comes to forgiving or not harboring resentment?
You saying another step?
Yeah, you know, I said, take a deep breath, pause for a second. Don't hold it, you know, to yourself, right? In other words, don't just let that soak in so much that you start looking at that person as that they're the devil himself, right?
I think a good step, and it's a hard step for a lot, but it could be easy if we live life simply and realize that everyone's human beings. Everyone's on their own life journey. Everyone's going through different things. Everyone evolves at different speeds. So once you kind of, like I said before in another episode, not detach from them, but detach yourself from the outcome of how things should happen, because you're getting caught up in what somebody else has going on. You don't know what other things they're battling, and you're putting yourself in that when, it can be a little more simple than that. If we can, I'm making it sound simple, but it's hard when you're in it, man. Well, it's hard.
Here's a realization, and most people are going to finally get on that episode about atmosphere. Understand that outside influences influence people. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, unbeknownst to a person, they're acting outside of their character because of the influence around them.
Right.
So, forgiveness is a beautiful thing when you think about it.
Right.
And at the core of forgiveness is love, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you are all about love,
gotcha,
regardless of outside interference, mm-hmm. In other words, no matter what negativity exists around you, whether the person tries to harm you or on purpose or not, it does not affect your love. So that allows you to be forgiving.
That's a big one. That's loving like Jesus right there, man. That's a big one.
Hey, man, now we'll get started, because then we'll start talking about a Jesus complex.
That takes a different level of evolution, but I can see myself getting there. I told you I used to be mad about that, man, that I can still love, and I'm like mad at myself, like, why do I still feel this way, and why do I'm still feeling for this person, and they did this to me, and because that's the love in me, man. Like you just said, that pure love.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
As you should.
Right.
Now, they don't have to get your love continuously. In essence, in other words, you don't have to constantly be involved with them, right?
Right.
Like,
don't love to your detriment, sounds like it.
No.
Don't love to your own detriment, man.
No, don't kill yourself.
Don't kill yourself loving them, man.
No.
You got to know when to break away. You got to know when to maneuver. But you can have those walls up and still have a door there, though. It can still be a door to open once they get right, and once they realize the steps they need to take and the things they need to do to be in your atmosphere, then you go ahead with that. You go forward.
Well, once you learn how to love yourself, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we don't want to talk about self-love too much, but, once you learn how to love yourself, that becomes a non-fear.
There's people float in and out like water then. When you have that love for yourself, when you realize that people aren't perfect, there's no perfection. We are human. It's kind of like, it's like a little wave. It just
goes in and out.
A wave.
Some people will hurt you and some people will elevate you along the way. Right. It is what it is. That's a part of life.
Place them accordingly.
Take nature.
Place them accordingly. Feel what you feel. Process what you feel. And do what you need to do. Number one, forgive.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive, man.
That's the only way you can be continual.
Right. Okay, man. We say like we say always. We're not trying to hold you guys long this time, man. We're about to get ready to wrap it up. Any words before we leave out of here, Stro?
Oh, man. The only thing I want to say is, look, love yourself, forgive yourself. Because once you learn how to forgive yourself, you learn how to forgive another. So be beautiful. Don't let nobody determine what beauty is to you. Look in the mirror sometimes. Check yourself. But remember this. If you can forgive yourself, you will forgive another.
And with that note, I mean, there's nothing left for me to say after that, but you guys know what just happened to you.
You just got stroked up.
You just got stroked, man. Y'all know what to do. At Stroked, STROK'D _ the podcast. At Stroked, STROK'D _ the podcast, man. You guys really have been listening and chiming in because we've been getting, a lot more follows, a lot more engagement. So if you guys can continue that love, that'll be great. Share it. Like it whenever you see it. And don't forget to subscribe, man. When you guys are listening on these different avenues and different apps, actually subscribe to it. Even if you can't watch the entire episode right now, you're busy, life gets in the way, still subscribe. You get those notifications because you don't want to miss out, man. You don't want to miss what just happened to your brain, man. You're going to get this everywhere.
Stimulation's a thing, so get stimulated.
Aphrodisiac. You guys know what's up. Good night.